Okay.
Hi, I'm Dr. Paul, and this is my beautiful wife, Lynn. Today we're going to go over some questions and answers and testimonials we've received from people who have used our products.
Okay, and before we get into the testimonials, there was an issue about a question somebody had on the proper protocol of using certain of the GANS waters that they have for type 2 diabetes. Do you want to cover that?
Okay, I'll go over that real quick here. I've got it written down here. In Europe and Africa, they have claimed that this protocol has eliminated type 2 diabetes. So, and they didn't say anything about diet, exercise, anything else, but I'm assuming that diet changes have also been incorporated into this protocol. So I'll read it real quick, and those of you that have these vials, if you're diabetic, you can try this and see how you do with it. I have not used this specific protocol, but I have used the plasma energy water, and I've been able to reduce my insulin requirement. Have not gotten rid of type 1 diabetes, but I have reduced my insulin requirement. So I'll go over this protocol here. In the morning, it's 30 milliliters of CH3 and 30 milliliters of CO2 and 30 milliliters of zinc oxide. Each one of these is separated by 3-minute wait. So you take the CH3, wait 3 minutes. CO2, wait 3 minutes. Then take the zinc oxide. Then at lunchtime, 30 milliliters of CH3, 30 milliliters of CO2, and 30 milliliters of zinc oxide. It's same as the morning, with a 3-minute wait between each one. Then at dinner time, it's a little different, not much. 30 milliliters of CH3, wait 3 minutes. 30 milliliters of CO2, wait 3 minutes. And then 60 milliliters of zinc oxide. That's in the evening. Now that's for the first week. After you have completed that for 1 week, then the subsequent series is a little different, but it stays the same from then on. It's morning, 30 milliliters of CH3 and 30 milliliters of CO2, separated by a 3-minute wait. At lunchtime, it's only 30 milliliters of CO2, and that's all. Then at dinner time, 30 milliliters of CO2, wait 3 minutes, and 60 milliliters of zinc oxide. So in the subsequent weeks after the first week, the CH3 part is eliminated, and you only use the CO2 and the zinc, but in a little altered regimen there. So that's what they're doing in Europe and Africa and claiming good results. So any of those of you out there who have these, give it a try.
Okay, and when we're talking about CO2, CH3, zinc, we're talking about the vials that have the plasma energy water in them. So you would have ordered, and these vials really all come in what's called the first aid set of vials, where you get the additional vials that you get would be calcium and copper oxide,
Right.
amino acid, hemoglobin, And there was a question about hemoglobin. I think people wonder if you're taking some of your blood to make hemoglobin. So how do you, what is hemoglobin?
It's the components. It's mainly iron. Iron is the main component of hemoglobin so that it can carry oxygen. So it's iron and some other minerals, compounds that make up hemoglobin.
Okay, so you can find those on our plasmaenergysolution.com website under the first aid vials. And, you know, if you want to have those individual components. And then otherwise, what you were talking about was using the plasma energy station, which we send out when it's warm weather in packaged 16 vial packages for your plasma energy station. When we get into cold weather, we're going to send you 4 of these, and vials 1 through 4 are the large vial number 1, and then vials 5 through 8 are the large vial number 2, and so forth. And the reason we're doing this is that we have found that even if these freeze, they do not break. Now, these are BPA-free plastics. Somebody contacted me and said, well, when they got rid of BPA, they came in with BPS and BC something else, and they also have their characteristics. Does that affect what we're trying to do with the water?
No, all we're doing is using the plasmatic field. You're not drinking the water out of this vial. You're just using the plasmatic field of the contents of this vial to charge the water that's in the jar. This acts like a battery. You do not drink it. So you're not getting BPS or whatever it is out of this plastic that's in here. All you're getting is the plasmatic field of the nanoparticles of the plasma energy.
Okay, so there was a recent online article that I had that said, just prepare for some disease outbreaks in our cities. For instance, there's dengue fever breaking out in New York City, which is mosquito-borne. There's Ebola in LA. There's trench mouth in other cities. And there are diseases spreading. There's incurable tuberculosis breakout in California, hoof and mouth disease, anthrax in Washington State. So there's a lot of issues going on, especially in some of our cities. And what happens is many of the rest of us that live in more remote areas could still be subjected to some of this by the people in our areas that are flying. And they may encounter some of these problems in the contact they come into. So when we drink the plasma energy station water, what is it doing for our bodies, and why is it beneficial for us?
It balances our system. Any disease will attack a weakened condition. And if you're out of balance, you're in a weakened condition. So by using the plasma energy water, drinking it, and using it in many other ways, balances our whole system. Immune system, metabolic system, nervous system, emotions, and makes us more resistant to these obnoxious diseases.
Okay, and one thing I would mention also, when we send things outside of the country, they are sent on the pads, which have been soaked and dried thoroughly. Then they are encased in plastic, and that plastic is completely covered with plastic packing tape. And we've had many testimonials from people around the world of how well they like the plasma energy water and the great things it is doing for them also. There was an article I came across, and there's a lot of anxiety that people are starting to exhibit. And what was mentioned in this article was the fact that you get online and everything you're doing has tasks associated. So you read an email, but you've got to answer it. You see something, you click through a link, and then you look at the research. So there's ongoing tasking with all the electronic devices we have. And here's an interesting thing about anxiety and ways to reduce it. If you take a walk, there's a 42%, and this is from a study that was done, a 42% reduction in stress and anxiety. If you drink tea or coffee, there's a 54%. If you listen to music, there's a 61%. However, if you read a book, there's 68%. And what was interesting about this was you didn't have to sit and read very long, maybe just 8 to 10 minutes. And the whole point they were making is that you engage in what you're reading, and you don't have to send any answers, and you don't have to click forward to anything. There was a designer who came out and said, a house should only have 30 books in it. Well, I guess if you look behind us, we haven't used that designer, huh?
No.
So the idea that you can reduce anxiety, we have something called anxiety relief. And I mention that because it works both for people and for animals. Because I don't know about the animals at your house, but I have not been able to teach our cats to read yet.
Right.
So.
But our one cat has really changed her temperament by drinking the plasma energy water. She just really calmed down. She was quite wild, and she just really calmed down.
Well, and we have a vial of anxiety relief in the water that they share. And your body will only use what it needs because it hasn't slowed down the mischievous cat at all.
Right.
So that's just an aside on how you can use it with your pets. Then I have someone who says, I received all the new vials and thank you very much. Should my plasma energy station sit in the sunlight, or should it be kept out of direct sunlight totally? What would you say there?
We don't really have any experience with that because nobody has had put theirs up outside. So I would just say that it's probably safest to have it out of direct sunlight. I don't know that for sure. I have no research on it. That's only my opinion.
And that's the way ours is.
That's the way ours is, yeah.
Right. And, okay, then, let's see here. This is this was just a great testimonial, and I've ordered from you before. I was the one who had ADHL breast issues. I thought I would let you know that 3 weeks after drinking the water, placing the pads on each side of my breast with the abnormal tissue, soaking my bras in the water, and making pads to put under my mattress must have helped, because when I went in to have the lumpectomy done, there were only a couple of abnormal cells left, so they didn't have to remove half my breast as indicated before. And she said, I have now ordered another vial from you, and I'm wondering if it's possible to get part of the GANS water that is at the bottom of the container and not in the middle part. How would you like to respond to that? I have a response I did, but I want to hear yours.
There's always microscopic particles of the GANs in the water. And the GANS itself acts as a battery to charge the water. So we do not send out the actual powdery GANS substance that you see in the bottom of the jars. All we send out is the water. And results have proven that there's enough in there to perpetuate a prolonged plasma energy field that is very beneficial. So having the actual powdery GANS in the vial is not necessary.
Well, and one thing I want to mention is that there are some producers that sell the colored vials. Well, they're colored because they have the GANS powder in them.
Right.
Now, these are large producers in large manufacturing facilities. And I do want to mention there was at one point when Paul was doing all the studying of the workshops, there was a situation where they found that when people were not being mindful and placing intention as they were making the GANS, that it affected the quality of the GANS.
That's right.
So for you, intention is very important in the process.
It is very important, and with each and every vial that we make, we put the specific intention on it that it will have the intended effect that we have made it for. And so that intention goes out with each and every product that we ship. So when you get GANS from a large producer, it depends on what the employees are thinking and what their intentions are, that the guys that are making the actual GANS. So you know there's a lot of room for variables in there.
And I would add that there are a lot of smaller producers that are, we know that they're producing some excellent GANS products. And I do want to show something here. I'm going to get, a lot of people get worked up in the winter over I want the glass vials and you have to send a plastic. So I went and I found a plastic vial, and I want you to look closely at the bottom. And you can see a little bit of white material. Now what happened is this was a vial that had been prepared in advance in case there was that was in advance for a shipping order. And then what happened is the weather warmed up and I didn't have to send that. I was able to send the glass vials. Well, what has happened here is a little bit of that microscopic GANS we talked about that wasn't visible in this format. After it sat for 6 months, there's a little in the bottom. So I just wanted to show that because it is present.
And also, I noticed that in my GANS, my primary GANS jars that I draw the water from, that the actual GANS over a period of time goes down, and I have to make new GANS and replace it. So that right there shows that there's always a few microscopic particles of the GANS that are going out with the water.
Okay, and then I just want to give this information from a therapist who does, she does computer, and she has a certain device that can measure cell activity in people. And what she finds is when people come to her for whatever the issues are, generally on a 1 to 10 scale, their cell activity is around 2 or 3, and they're really not feeling very well. And she puts them on the plasma energy station water, and when they come back, generally in the first month, they're at least at 6. They've improved up to 6. And at the end of 2 months, she said it's very common they've improved up to 8 on the 1 to 10 scale in the cell activity. and hers has improved also up to the 10 level. So she said that's a real measurable way for the people she's dealing with to see the subtle improvements that are being made. Because sometimes I'll hear from people and they'll say, I've been drinking the water for 2 days and I don't feel any different. Well, it took a long time to get the way you were feeling before you got the water. So then there was just, oh, this was interesting. She had someone who was out of state who said she couldn't take supplements, so she sent her some of the plasma energy station pads. And then the client thought maybe those made her nauseous, so she said, well, I don't want you to do anything with the water. I just want you to leave it sitting there on the counter. And you don't have to drink it, but just leave it there. And when she did her measurement testing again, the woman was doing as well as if she'd been drinking the water. So in other words, the cell activity improved, and we've measured for fields, the energy fields.
Right.
And somebody else asked me about dowsing and when you started using it and how you learned, what do you do with it?
Well, I've known about dowsing for many, many years. I never had a reason to use it until we started doing the plasma energy. But it has shown to be a very effective way to come up with the proper dosage or proportions of different ganses when we make the GANS combinations. So this is what I use, and these are just nano-coated copper rods. You can see they're black. That's because of the nano-coating on there. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but in my mind, it conducts the plasma energy better and gives me a better reading. They're sitting in PVC handles so that they can turn freely. You can see that they're loose in there and they just flop around. So that's what I use.
Okay, and that's mainly as a measuring, do I need 10% of this, 20% of this?
Right.
And that type of thing. Okay. And what is the reason for the inclusion of hemoglobin when you have certain combinations that have amino acids and hemoglobin?
Well, that makes the connection with the hemoglobin in the human body, in our blood.
Okay. All right. And then I had somebody who said, I purchased the plasma energy vial and sure as heck I stepped on it. So I'll be ordering another one. I'm wondering if I can place the vial on the outside of a large water tote that's opaque but holds 200 gallons. Then I wouldn't be juggling the vial, as it must have fallen off when I was moving the 5-gallon jug I had been using. And my response to her was, the vials cannot be placed on opaque containers. That's going to interfere with the energy fields, isn't it?
It does. It definitely does. I've had that experience, and I tried to make GANs in a container that was opaque, and it did not work. Didn't work at all. It will not conduct the energy.
Okay, and that's when you first started.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know why this isn't working, and then it was like, oh, this container is opaque. So then what I said to her, I said, what I suggest is that when you order a plastic vial and put it right inside your manageable 5-gallon container, and that I presume is either clear glass or clear plastic. You don't open the vial, you just put it inside the container. So she ordered one of these, and she's going to drop it inside the large container and just leave it there. And it'll do its thing, and it won't get dropped and stepped on or anything else. So that took care of that idea. And a lot of people ask about whether or not you have made a combination for getting better gas mileage. And one of the things we found is, what are the car manufacturers doing with the gas settings?
Yeah, a lot of people around the world have tried making GANs devices to increase the gas mileage on their cars, and very few have gotten any results at all, and it's mainly because the car manufacturers have computer chips in their cars that regulate all the functions, and one of those functions is fuel consumption. And they've got these computers set so that no matter what you do to the engine, they're still going to draw the same amount of fuel. And so using the plasma energy fields to overcome the computers has not worked. The plasma energy fields help make motors more efficient, but they do not alter the fuel consumption that much, maybe just a tiny bit, because of the computer chips installed by the manufacturers.
So that kind of takes care of whatever would happen to...
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to thank you for watching this segment on frequently asked questions and testimonials. And please be sure and visit our website, plasmaenergysolution.com. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think that's about it for today. We want to thank you for taking time to watch this video. And if you feel you've gotten any value from it, give us a big thumbs up and share this with your friends and relatives. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.